Recently, we've shared the results of the release process and the summer release blend in larger, what I call feeding size food plots. One was here at the Proving Grounds, and one was at my friend's place, George, in Texas. Man, both those looked awesome, feeding a lot of deer, attracting a lot of deer, and suppressing weeds. But what happens if you apply those same techniques with hand tools in a small food plot? This is a little hidey-ho food plot, guys. It's, you can see it's almost bow range. I've tagged some deer out of here. And we shared this spring how we planted this just using hand tools. We terminated the last crop, the fall release from the past year, with herbicide, glyphosate, and then just broadcast this summer release blend in here using the hand seeder. And when we're doing that, we try to put about half the seed going one way and half the seed going the other, so we get good coverage, and looks like we got great coverage in here. Now, it's not as productive as the big fields. You can see the sunflowers have been removed. Most of the beans and peas have been removed. I see a few. And the seed heads, they're not as big as in the big plots where they're getting full day sunshine. But I'm still giving this an A. I call it great success because seed heads are starting to fill out. Man, they're gonna be great. Now, you wouldn't put a combine in here, but here's the magic. These are gonna be ripe right about the start of season before acorns, even the earliest white oaks, are hitting the ground, at least here at the Proving Grounds and probably on most properties. That time of year, deer are seeking carbohydrates. They're gonna be in here just hammering these milo heads. It's like having a feed tree. We've talked about a feed tree before where you find the only white oak making acorns in an area. You want to put your blind right there. Well, we want to have a blind right here because this is going to be like the only white oak tree dropping acorns for way around us. And the bucks are going to be feeding right here. Now, there's other things in here. I see a little sun hemp right in front of me and some Huban sweet clover. Deer don't tend to eat on it much, but it makes a large amount of nitrogen, and of course it's suppressing weeds. There's a little bit of collards down in here. So the species are here. They've browsed the more palatable ones a lot, and you're thinking, well, you're not feeding deer here, but you're right, this is less than 1/10 of an acre. We didn't plant this to grow big antlers. We planted it to suppress weeds and have an attractant, so we got something that's really attractive to deer that's not anywhere else in the neighborhood, and that's right here. Another huge advantage we got out of this, of course, the Huban clover and the sun hemp, they're both legumes. They're pumping a little bit of nitrogen in the ground for the fall crop. It's a small food plot. We could broadcast some fertilizer in here, but why pay for it when you can get it? And we're suppressing weeds. I see almost no weeds in here. Certainly not enough that I would come use a herbicide. So I'm just gonna let this keep maturing. And then here, about August 15th or so, and when there's a rain in the forecast, don't forget we need rain in the forecast, we're coming in broadcast seed. As this is drying up and allowing more sun to get to the soil, that fall release will just germinate in here really well. And I have a combination of grain that's already been produced and those new greens coming on. It'd be a super attractant for deer. So we spend just a little bit of time, you use a backpack sprayer or whatever, terminated that fall crop and any weeds that might have been in here. Probably were some weeds because it's a small area and deer browsing on it hard. Broadcast, just 10 minutes work, broadcast this summer release blend in here. That has worked awesome to suppress weeds, improve the soil quality. It fed a few deer. That's really irrelevant when you're talking about 1/10 of an acre. It's just on the pounds, but making a great attraction for the start of hunting season. Suppressing weeds and improving the soil, well, that's saving me money. And then having this grain here, you can bet somebody's gonna be hunting here really close to opening day. I'm constantly learning and tweaking on blends, and I'm kind of thinking I'm going to take what I learned out of several plots like this, not just this one, and create a summer blend just for small plots. We're not trying to attract deer. We know they'll browse it quickly. We're trying to suppress all weeds and improve the soil's health and produce something that's going to be attractive to deer opening day. By working throughout the whitetails range and constantly experimenting, we can really fine-tune these blends and make it where they work in every situation. If you're still not convinced, you're looking at this, say, I don't think it's worth my time, Grant. I want to take you down the mountain, get on another ridge, show you another food plot about the same size where we didn't plant. We just let last fall's crop mature, probably lasted into May, maybe early June. And I want to show you the difference between this and that little hunting plot and let you decide if it was worth the effort.
Growing Deer is brought to you by Bass Pro Shops and Cabela's. Also by Reconics, Green Cover Food Plots, Winchester, Lacrosse Footwear, Fleet Outdoor Apparel, Morel Targets, RTP Outdoors, Fourth Arrow, Hunt Stand, Scorpion Venom Archery, Case IH Tractors, Burris Optics, G5 Broadheads, Prime Bows, and Redneck Hunting Blinds.
I'm standing in another Hideo food plot here at the Proving Grounds, but this one looks much different. Now, last fall I had a fall blend in here, and of course one of the species was Syrah Rye. I guess you can see it got, almost 6 feet tall, probably taller throughout here. But just as a test, I didn't do anything. I just let this mature. I haven't sprayed it, I haven't crimped it, nothing. So you can see some standing, some laying over. If you look around, kind of looks like a bad spray job. There's a lot of brown, there's some clumps of green in there, and it did a pretty good job of just suppressing weeds, just the volume we had in here that grew, this spring. The deer browse it down, starts bolting in the spring, puts on a lot of tonnage. So again, this is less than 1/10 of an acre and very few weeds. So if you've got a really good fall crop that's got the appropriate blend, you could do this. Now you're gonna have to come in here with the herbicide and treat the weeds. The primary one I'm seeing is goosegrass. It's not a bad weed, but it makes a gazillion seeds. I'll show you that in a second. I would rather have something growing here that's been producing grain all summer, something that's gonna attract deer, boy, it's opening day of deer season, and suppressing weeds than having this. Now, if we'd have crimped it, it likely would have done a better job of suppressing weeds because we'd have created that weed mat. Another negative is, of course, green plants are living, they're pumping carbon in the soil. And carbon's the most limited resource for a plant. We talk about nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium, but plants are about 70% carbon. And you get carbon in soil, you take it out of the air and get it in the soil through photosynthesis, and dead plants don't photosynthesize. So I just did this in a small area as a test, kind of an illustration or demo area. And we showed it to you, probably will never do this again. Let's go back to this footage, but left it here, nothing for the deer to eat, nothing coming on for that early hunting season. Now we can of course plant it. We're gonna have to use a herbicide because of course weeds are gonna come through, and we definitely weren't improving the soil. It takes living plants to improve the soil. So big difference between this plot and the plot we were just in. I strongly prefer the results of the other plot. We're herbicide this, get it planted, and won't do this again. This is goosegrass. I don't know if they call it that because maybe that looks like a goose's foot, but all these little fringy things are making seed by the gazillion. So this, and I didn't get them all off, this one little thing here is making that many seeds. Now the advantage we have, you have very small seeds like this. This is smaller than even a clover I would plant. Very small seeds, and those go on the ground, and then you've got a really thick layer of mulch like we've showed you several times. Well, those will get warm in the spring and germinate, but they won't have enough onboard energy, the energy stored in that seed, to get up through all that mulch and be able to make leaves and photosynthesize. And if they can't photosynthesize, they starve to death. So not too worried about this. If this was really bad, like pigweed or something, I'd be really upset. We're coming here and herbicide this pretty soon because the seeds are still green, they're not hard, they're not mature yet. So we're knock this down and be ready to broadcast the fall release blend. Now I'm sure a lot of folks are sitting there saying, I'm not using no herbicide, I'm just gonna mow it. Well, you know from mowing, Most grass species are not terminated from mowing. Think about your yard or other places. You're just setting them back, may keep them from making viable seed, but if you mow this and you say you cut it right there, and you've just got that stem, well, that's a real small area for herbicide to hit. And most of it, like glyphosate, they need to land on leaf surface area. They want to land on the big surface of this leaf. And that's where you get termination. If you mow this all off and you just got 1,000 little stems sticking out there, you probably won't get a very good kill. If you're gonna use a herbicide, it's much better to go ahead and spray over this and hit all this leaf surface area than it is to mow it and then try to treat it. I like these comparisons that are, really close together, same year, same property, same rainfall, same cold days, same cloudy days, all that. I like that because it's a great way for me to learn and hopefully share with you. Man, I hope you have a chance to get outside and enjoy creation. And more importantly, I hope you take time every day to be quiet and seek the Creator's will for your life. Thanks for watching Growing Deer.